1996 to 2002, and 1990 to 1995, he was chairman and chief executive of Value Prescription RX. And so those are some of the largest pharmacy. My husband was part of pharmaceuticals. So Elder Smith served in quite a few different capacities. He was a bishop, stake president, mission leader, and now the Smiths are directors of the Visitor Center in the Rome, Italy temple, which sounds exciting. Sister Pal, that's what I was going to call you. Julia is a mother of 6, grandmother of 38, and has great-grandchildren. Wow. She graduated from BYU-I in 2017 at the age of 60, which is a degree in home and family with an emphasis in psychology. And I admire you for that, because I was a late bloomer. I graduated late too from college. She has served in almost every organization: Young Women Counselor, President, Relief Society President and Counselor, Stake Young Women Counselor, and served with her husband in Texas as mission leaders in Dallas, Texas from 2008 to 2011. And now they're on their next adventure in Rome, Italy. So we thank you. We thank you for this. And if we'll just turn the time over to you.
Okay. So how long do you want me to take?
What do you think, Jean?
2-3 hours.
Well, we usually are around an hour, but it's up to you.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, we'll shoot for that. And what I'll do, instead of waiting for questions afterwards, because there's so much to see and so much symbolism, that if you have a question, just pop up and just ask it immediately.
Okay.
I don't think there's any way to raise your hand or anything like there is on Zoom. So just unmute yourself and ask the question, and then we can answer it then.
Yes, we need everyone to mute unless you have a question. We're getting some feedback. I don't know why.
There's a lot of feedback.
Yeah.
Has everyone?
Okay, let's go ahead and begin.
No.
Oh, not quite.
Let's get everyone to mute and see if we can get rid of that.
Wait.
Badgers, are you?
Okay there? Oh.
Badgers, have you muted? Because we weren't having that problem.
Should we try it again? See if that's better.
Okay,
that's good.
Yeah.
I'm not hearing any problems now. So, Bertel Thorvaldsen was from Copenhagen, Denmark, and was commissioned by his Lutheran church, Church of Our Lady, to sculpt the Christus and the 12 Apostles. What's interesting is that he was commissioned to do this in 1819. Just before Joseph Smith had the first vision. So the Lord really knew what was going to happen and that the restoration was going on, because as Thorvaldsen carved the Christus, his arms are outstretched as a living Christ. Before then, never had they seen the Christus in any position other than just being dead. He was just on the cross. He was never a living Christ. So, when Joseph Smith, of course, had his vision, we knew that Christ is living. And that's one of the things that makes this statue so marvelous, and is now the symbolism of the church, or the symbol of the church. This particular statue is over 11 feet tall, is made out of Carrara marble. The apostles that are behind him are 3/4 of adult size, so not quite complete. When the church went to Denmark, they put and received permission to use them. They put markers all over, hundreds on each statue, so that they could digitally map them, bring them back to the Carrara marble foundry, and then they used water jets to take off the biggest pieces, and then each individual carving was hand carved by an artisan. It's pretty remarkable. At the very bottom, I'm not sure if you can really see it very good. Doesn't show up too good. It says Venite a me. And that is Italian for come unto me, which is exactly what those hands represent. Above him, and you can't tell again too well, so I'm going to walk behind the Christus. There's a beautiful mural by Joseph Bricky. Joseph Bricky designed this specifically to be behind the Christus. And can you see it much detail? I don't know if you can really see it, so I'm going to probably have to just explain it to you. He has the halo of the sun. If you're standing directly in front of Christ, you can see the sun right there. And it shows him as a halo. And then the sun rays flow down across the earth. There are 12 olive trees, one above each apostle. Olive trees take forever to die. In fact, we have 4 out in the plaza here that are somewhere between 400 and 500 years old. And we still harvest the grapes every fall and use the oil in the temple. There are 40 sheep, 12 different kinds. So 40 being Christ fasted for 40 days. Moses was 40 years in the wilderness. 40 weeks for a woman's gestation period with babies. 12 different breeds for the 12 tribes of Israel. There's 6 sheep directly behind Christ that are laying down. You cannot see them if you're standing in front of him, because they have found their rest. They found all that they need through Christ. There's a aloe plant right here. And an aloe plant is for healing. Again, you cannot see it if you're standing in front of Christ, because you are healed through Christ. Over here you can see there's a vineyard. And on the exact opposite side, there's wheat for the sacrament. Above Peter, there's a rooster for the rooster that crowed 3 times. And next to him is a little hen gathering her chicks under her wings. So, is it possible? Thank you. Okay, Peter is the only apostle that is facing towards the temple. So, let's see, wrong direction.
I'm sorry, but is there any way to make that image bigger? It's just a tiny little image on my screen. And I see the people bigger than I do the tour.
Well, there's the temple that Peter's looking out towards. I can only do it as big as my phone.
Okay.
So here's his face.
Okay, I'm making it bigger. I tapped on your image, and then it gave me an option to go full screen, and that made it bigger.
So try that, brother, and see if that helps.
No, that's still just it's smaller than a...
Sorry for the interruption.
You're fine.
If you go to the 3 dots, it says change layout, and that's where you can go to full screen. See if that works. And then let's go ahead and proceed.
The 3 dots don't give me that option. It just says, don't watch. You can't remove this participant. That's all.
The 3 dots at the bottom of your screen next to a hand.
I don't know what to say. My 3 dots work.
Yeah. All right. Well, we'll go ahead.
Go ahead. I'm sorry to interrupt.
No, you're fine. I'll get as close as I can to them.
The 3 dots in the center of the screen are the ones that don't work. If you go down below on the bottom bar, the 3 dots there should give it to you.
Oh, I see. I got it.
Okay, everyone mute so we don't get this feedback now.
Okay, does that work better?
Yeah, that works. Thank you.
Perfect. So Peter always has the keys in his hand, and it's the keys to the priesthood. And again, he's the only one facing the temple. And as you look at the temple, not sure if it can show very good. There's a small fountain that runs directly from the temple down here, and it's the fountain of living waters. And the fountain of living waters come directly to Christ. So each one of the apostles has an icon in their hand that is similar to the icons all over if you've got statues of the apostles. So Peter has the keys. Next we have James. We know that James traveled a lot in Spain. So he wears a traveling hat and he has his walking stick. Next is John. John is always shown with no beard, and he's looking up. He has his stylus and his paper, or not paper, his tablet that he's writing on, and at his feet is an eagle. And it's an eagle, and he looks up because he wrote the books in the New Testament as well as the book of Revelation. And in the book of Revelation, he saw further and more things than anyone else has ever seen. So that's why the eagle, because the eagle will fly farther and higher and see more than anyone has ever seen. So he's always represented with no beard and an eagle. This is Andrew. Andrew and Peter are brothers. Andrew is always shown with an X. Always an X at his side, because X is the first letter of the Greek alphabet and it's pronounced Chrysis. And some of these, the icons that we will see are symbols of what possibly happened in their death. Since nothing specific in most cases is written in the scriptures of their death, we try to ignore them and not really worry about them too much, and talk about more about what they've done in life. So Philip, he always has his cross that he carries, and his friend Bartholomew. Bartholomew is also known as Nathaniel, depending on which book in the New Testament that you're reading. So Philip saw the Messiah first, and he ran to tell Bartholomew, I've seen the Messiah. I know who he is, and he's from Nazareth. And Bartholomew's reaction was, well, nothing good can come from Nazareth. But they went to go see Christ. And as they approached, Christ said to Bartholomew, I know thee. And he says, how do you know me? He says, I saw you under a fig tree. And he says, thou art the Christ. And he said back to Bartholomew, and thou art a man without guile. Which I love, because if Christ can see Bartholomew under a fig tree, he knows who I am, he knows what I'm doing. He knew Bartholomew. He knew he was a man without guile. And I love that, because it just feels like he knows us. He knows who we are. Next we have Thomas. Thomas, he's in a moment of thinking and pondering, and he also has an architectural square. So we all know Thomas for doubting Thomas, but there's a story that I prefer because it's positive. When Christ heard that Lazarus was dead, he knew that it was for a purpose. And he said, we need to go to see Lazarus. And they said, you can't go. You're a wanted man in that city. They will kill you. You cannot go. And Thomas replied to all of them, then we will all go die together. So he knew who Christ was. He had a testimony of Christ. It just probably shocked him when one of his best friends all of a sudden appeared after he knew he had died. And I can kind of get that. That would be very strange. But anyway, I prefer that story of Thomas. Next we have Matthew. Matthew was a tax collector, and he has his stylus and his tablet there. And at his feet is a bag of money. And it's at his feet, not close to his heart. And he's standing on the rock of Christ. You always know it is Matthew because of the money bag at his feet and the rock of Christ. Next we have James the second. We don't know a lot about him. We know that he traveled around a lot with his brother Judas Thaddeus. And Judas is always shown with his hands in prayer. He's also shown with the only one that has hiked up his tunic so that he's ready to go. He's ready to go on a walk. He's ready to walk for Christ. We'll always know him by his hands. Next is Simon the Zealot. We don't know what Simon did before he came to Christ. A zealot, of course, is someone that believes strongly and fights for something that he believes in. He is always shown with this saw. And then we have Paul. And Paul is not one of the original 12, but on the road to Damascus, and you all know the story when his name was changed from Saul to Paul, he had money in his pocket to go kill the Christians. That's what he did for a living. And the Lord approached him, talked to him, and because Saul changed to Paul, changed who he was and what he did, his hand is always in the turning motion, the changing motion. He changed from one man into someone better. So those are the 12 apostles. Are there any questions or thoughts that you have? Silence? I take it that's a good thing. There's a tour over there, so we're going to go this way. So down this hall, we are very lucky to have a diorama of the temple. We look out onto the temple here. Again, it's dusk and it's rainy. The temple has 804 windows. Each window is very different, is completely different than any of the others, but they're all done with an olive leaf motif. And they're done by Tom and Gail Holdman, who were the artists of the big stained glass window that we're going to see in a couple of minutes. The temple is in the shape of an oval because that is the shape of Michelangelo. Michelangelo has a place called Cappadocia here, and he used the oval shape in the building. This is the inside. We're at the very bottom. Down here, you can't really see it too good. In the floor is an oval shape for the Cappadocia. There's a stairwell that is an architectural wonder because it's only attached at one place, all the way up. Underneath that, there is a star, a 12-point star right here, that is the symbol of Rome. And when they had the open house, the Roman officials came in and they were astounded at the shape of the oval and the 12-point star. And they were very pleased because they were sure that this was going to be an American temple. And they were very, very pleased that the church officials went so far as to try to make it Roman and for the Roman people. We just have one ordinance room. We progress from here to here and then into the celestial room. The baptismal font is in the shape of an oval. And then we have one large ceiling room at the very top with a waiting room to the left. So it's a small temple, but it truly is beautiful. And when we go into the temple here, to go into a session, before you go into the session, you receive the new name. Well, those that are giving the new name have to write at the top of the card what language it is in. Because the temple district, I need to count them, it's something like 20 different countries with so many different languages. And each language has their own headset for the language that they speak in. So the person that's organizing the endowment session has to be aware which headset to give them, depending on which language it's in. Then when you go to the veil, we're handed about 10 different sheets. I've passed off in Italian, I've passed off in Spanish, and yet I've helped people through the veil in Albanian and Romanian, which is a real trip because I don't speak either one, and to me it is a crazy, very interesting language, but the Lord makes it work, and it's a wonderful blessing to be able to do that. It's just fun with all these so many different languages. So now we will walk over